Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Atlas. Unless you guys are new to the channel, then it is very nice to meet you guys. Feel free to hit subscribe if you want to check out more cryptocurrency news and technical analysis. And if you guys can, please make sure you hit that big thumbs up like button. It really does help us out. We're trying to get to at least 50 likes on this video, and that bell icon is so important so that you actually get alerted when there's a new video, so you get up-to-date information of what's going on. Okay, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about Orchid, as we usually do, as well as we're going to be talking about Numeraire. Very interesting things that we're seeing going on over there. So here we go into the news first, and then we'll take a look at the technical analysis. And again, thank you guys so much for being here. First up with Bitcoin, 3 reasons traders now expect Bitcoin to be hitting $13,000 before a new rally. This is bearish news, but good news is I also have good news. So there's that, right? Let's go ahead and focus on the negative aspects first and what people are kind of saying to have that potential pullback, that downtrend. Bitcoin price frequently saw 20% to 30% drops in the past bull markets, like the rally to nearly $20,000 in 2017. Although the rally continued afterward, major corrections occurred as the derivatives market became overcrowded. Some quotes. So my Bitcoin outlook. 1, bearish below $17,500 area. 2, bullish if we break $17,500, in which case buy dips. 3, $18,700 area equals only big resistance before all-time high, if maybe. Could see $11,000 to $13,000. Wouldn't hold net short past $14,500. All right, so you mentioned $17,500, and guess what? We are above 17,500 right now. We're at 17,640. So that break zone, very key, very pivotal, and we've seen a very explosive day. So that new position, new daily candle formation is absolutely imperative. And the fact that we have closed out yesterday above 17,500, the new daily formation that has been above that level as well, currently is looking quite strong. Continuing on with this, the Fibonacci sequence encompassing Bitcoin's entire rally until $19,400 puts the 0.618 level at around $13,500. Under the sequence, 0.618 is considered a pivotal level for a potential trend reversal. When the open interest of the Bitcoin futures market remains above $1 billion, the price of Bitcoin tends to drop. According to data from Skew, the open interest across major futures exchanges currently exceeds $1 billion. OKEX, Binance Futures, and CME, the 3 largest Bitcoin futures markets, have now reached an all-time high open interest of $1.4 billion, 0.94 billion and 0.93 billion respectively. A lot of movement going on in that space. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments down below. Moving on to the next bit of information. The Bitcoin analysts are explaining why they think the price rally is going up again. While it's still down this week overall, guess what? Bitcoin's actually up 6%. The all-time high is a major psychological barrier. Breaking it requires real momentum. And here's a lot of different people's perspective views relating to that same emphasis, the fact that it's a psychological component. It is quite common that it struggles to move past a previous all-time high and experiences a dip instead. The OKEX withdrawals were just pent up from when they were suspended. Regarding options expiry, it is very unusual that sudden mechanical effects on the market have any lasting impact. If they go against the broader sentiment, they are almost always absorbed by the market. Furthermore, as the bullish catalysts that drove up this far are still very much there and in action, it's only a matter of time until the temporary selling pressure subsides and we continue our ascent. Excuse me. Furthermore, this may be part of a bigger price rally as more institutions realize cryptocurrencies are a reliable store of value and medium of exchange. So that's a very interesting point. Rally as more institutions realize cryptocurrencies are a reliable store of value and medium of exchange. More institutions, right? And I really want to emphasize on this from this article because we're actually going to move over towards this one. Dr. Doom, economist Nouriel Roubini trashes Bitcoin for being heavily manipulated and blames retail investor FOMO for its recent pump and dump. Okay, Nouriel Roubini, if I am pronouncing his name correctly, known as Dr. Doom for his bearish views, slammed Bitcoin for being heavily manipulated and blamed retail investor FOMO for this week's boom and bust on Thursday. Rubini tweeted the digital token has no role to play in the portfolios of retail or institutional investors, which is what we just referenced, because it has zero intrinsic value. Seeing the trend here? Retail suckers with massive FOMO have been jumping again into Bitcoin as they did in late 2017 when price went from $10,000 to $19,000, only to crash down to $3,000 in 2019, he said. According to him, investing in Bitcoin is the same as gambling at a rigged casino. It has no intrinsic value. It is not backed by any asset. It is not legal tender. It cannot be used to pay taxes. Said example, look at March 2020 when US stocks fell 35% while Bitcoin fell over 50%. Thus, it has no role institutional investors or retail portfolios. It would be highly irresponsible for any institutional/retail investor to speculate in a totally manipulated asset like Bitcoin. At least in legit Las Vegas casinos, odds aren't stacked against you, as those gambling markets aren't manipulated the way Bitcoin is. Stay away from the cesspool of thousands of worthless crap coins. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of different cryptocurrencies that are out there. I want to give my own 2 cents on this, right? My own 2 Satoshis. And keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor with this, but when you talk about major institutions that are worth a lot of money, you know, we're talking about hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, and they're making the decisions with this. And guess what? They're in a profit right now with everything. You want to make these claims and you want to compare things today to back then when we haven't seen anything like Bitcoin in the past, right? We have a definitive amount. If you want to make associations with stock, well, Bitcoin's not a stock, it's a currency. Right? It's a digital form of currency, and there are places that accept it as a form of payment. Just because it's not a widely regarded common use currency that like your neighbor Joe uses every single time he goes to McDonald's or to Whole Foods or something, the fact that you can go and spend your money, your Bitcoin at Burger King, or you can spend it at Whole Foods, right? There are places that accept it. It's still a currency. It doesn't have to be widely adopted. It's a means of exchange. Simple economics. And for somebody to come in here that's supposed to be such a high stature, the most basic, the most fundamental things that defines what money is, to just kind of overlook that whole principal idea and go on a tangent like this. This guy, I think what happened is he secretly was one of those people that bought back when it was 20K, and he's bitter because it went down and he sold it off. I'm not saying that that's what happened, but you know, the kind of attitude that he's given this, the saltiness that I can kind of taste in the air with it, kind of gives off that vibe. Also, by the way, as we push up towards 20K this year at $19,400, approximately 99% of every person that has ever invested in Bitcoin was in profit. Okay? If you're going to talk about gambling, you're saying that this is a bad gamble. If you put a gamble bet down and you're essentially guaranteed to win, and you're going to make money off of it and move forward, why would you not gamble on that? Why would you say, you know what, that's stupid. Go over to the slot machine. You know why? Because slot machines have been around for a long time, right? I mean, the odds are way worse of you winning. We're not going to go into that though, but it's been around for a long time, and it uses dollars, and we got to support the dollar, even though the value of the dollar is also going down. So technically, if you win at the slot machine, the total amount you win out of that is also going down. So I guess in a sense, because you're, anyways, it's a rotating door of crap. And I don't think this guy has a lot of sufficient evidence and backing of things. You know, we are in a much different situation than we were in 2017. We have the halving event, for example. So the rate of production rate has changed. The amount of hodlers has changed. The amount of circulating supply has changed. The definitive idea of what Bitcoin is. You have third-party applications. You've got more adoption worldwide than what we had before. And there's way more people that can still come in to go in and try and acquire this. So to say that it's not backed by any asset, it is backed by global currencies. It's backed by the US dollar, right? If we buy it with dollars, it was backed by the dollar. If it was bought by euros, if it was bought by pesos, whatever the country's currencies are, we're dealing with something that is definitively unique and we haven't seen before. And for him to come in and to so blatantly try to undermine it by using these preposterous associations is just absolutely ridiculous. It's not legal tender. There are many places that define it as a currency. It happened earlier this year with Germany. They identified it in terminology as a currency. I believe France did it as well. And there was a court case that took place in the United States earlier this year in which someone got caught and in trouble for having set up like an exchange. And they identified that because he didn't go through proper protocol, that Bitcoin as a means of exchange was a currency. And so he got in trouble because he didn't have the proper qualifications for that. So if you're saying that it's not legal tender, it is allowed in the United States. There are businesses in the United States that do accept it legally. They're allowed to do so. So I don't quite understand what the point of this is. It cannot be used to pay taxes. Okay, but it is taxable. The IRS does have you pay taxes on it as a form of property. And it's being debated over in Israel now, as of earlier this year, a couple months ago, I believe, about how it should be considered. Should it still be considered a property over there, or should it be considered a form of currency? And they're leaning more towards the idea of a currency in Israel. Very interesting, right? So the way the government really taxes these things, and they look at these things, and you know, if the government doesn't want to accept it, the government's being stupid. They're accepting the fiat, which is obviously depreciating. The whole idea is we're trying to strengthen our country. Now, China has recently acquired the Plus token scam money, and that's supposedly going towards the treasury, but we don't know for sure if it's going to be redistributed back out or not, or what. But if the country itself just decides to hold on to that extra Bitcoin at some point down the road, they want to sell some of it off, it could be more lucrative for them. They're taking it off the exchange and circulation, but you know, it does suck for all the people that bought it. And if you want my honest opinion, I think it should go back to the people that bought it originally and were scammed out of that, because it's not fair to those individuals. But who knows what China is going to be planning to do. Anyway, so that's my thoughts and my feedback with that. I just thought I would share that information. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Just seems very not well researched by an individual like that to come in. And there's other major institutional investors, obviously, that are buying Bitcoin, that have done the equivalent research or more. Some might have even done less, but the ones that have done more research, obviously they got more validity behind their investments with this, and they're in a profit, right? That's what it comes down to, is they're in a profit too. Keep making more profits, keep going up. More demand comes in. It's going to happen anyways. You try to manipulate the system, more people want it, it's going to go up. Other people keep holding. Paul Tudor Jones, Bitcoin fractal hints at possible explosive Bitcoin rally. A fractal from Paul Tudor Jones hints that Bitcoin price is in early stage long-term rally like gold was in the 1970s. Whoa! Here we go. Here's some good news. Based on the fractal, Bitcoin is in early phase of a prolonged rally that could allow Bitcoin to experience exponential growth in the longer term. Take a look at these two charts right here. Top one, you've got gold price. This is per troy ounces in log scale. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? You start to see a bit of a decline that takes place as of the 2018 period. A little bit of a decline there and a bounce up back through the 1970s, and then establishes itself right past the line there in 1977. And then as we're continuing to try and recover with what happened with this recent massive dip, right? So a little bit of a pullback down, and you see moments where it has pullbacks down until it continues further on and on and on and on. So you have big retracements, further continuations on, and this is a very strong reflective mirror. It's not dead set every single position for sure, but the uptrend, the retracement down, continuation up, a little bit of a pullback down occurring. Very, very close side-by-side analysis. So interesting to see something like this. But remember, gold is not the same as Bitcoin. Gold, they continue to find more. So very interesting regardless. Supply. Bitcoin is not just a scarce commodity. It's the only known commodity in the universe that has a deterministic and fixed supply, the 21 million. As a result, Bitcoin is not subject to any of the potential positive supply shocks that gold, or any commodity for that matter, may face in the future. Any continued dump in Bitcoin would be extremely bullish, as it would reveal we are following the gold fractal from the 1970s, as per below by Paul Tudor Jones, the legendary macro investor who successfully used fractals to predict the 1980s stock market supercycle. Ooh. The fact that we don't know who Satoshi is yet. Hashtag Bitcoin's market cap is $330 billion is a testament to the fact that Bitcoin speaks for itself. Bitcoin speaks for itself. The results are speaking for itself, right? As far as an asset goes, nothing in human history has done what Bitcoin is doing right now. The percentage gains from where it started, less than a penny in 2009, in 11 years so far, being now over $17,600. That's a big deal. And these people say that it's a bad gamble. I don't know what they're smoking, but I think they need to lay off the pipe. Bitcoin relief rally is underway. Can Bitcoin price reclaim $18,000? As the daily chart shows right here, critical level is going to be at the $16,000 range area. Bitcoin's price did lose the uptrend on lower time frames through which a chain reaction of liquidations occurred. This chain reaction made the price accelerate downwards. Bitcoin's price frequently takes the staircase up and the elevator down. This is a common phrase that you'll hear. Staircase up, elevator down. It's usual. When this happens, the daily time frame marks the crucial support levels to hold, through which the zone around $16,000 is a massive area to hold. The hourly chart shows a clear breakdown from the $18,600 support level, which caused a chain reaction downwards. However, during this correction, some lower time frame signals are showing crucial resistance levels starting at the $18,000 level. The price of Bitcoin dropped toward the support zone at $17,200, made a slight bounce upward, but couldn't break through $18,000. What do you guys think? Do you think it's going to be more likely it goes to $18,000, or do you think it's going to be more likely it goes to $16,000 next? Again, let me know in the comments. And also, if you guys haven't yet hit that like button, please make sure you do hit that like button. Also, guys, subscribe for more information, that bell notification as well. Now, let's go and take a look at the technical analysis. I'll try to keep this pretty brief for you guys. Looking at Bitcoin on the daily chart here first, you can actually see that we were just slightly in the red, but there is a little bit of a continuation back up. So we had a further drop down to approximately, as of the time of this video, 17,550 level, right about right there. Yeah, right around 17,550. And has climbed back up. There's a little bit of a drop that's taking place as of the moment, but we are potentially working towards reclaiming back on the green and having one of these large wicks as a bottom zone. So you can see that in previous days. We have a further drop down and then pulls back up. Further drop down, pulls back up. It hasn't been since November 20th. Over a week ago, since we had a bottom wick that was very minimal. So by comparison with where we are right now, chances are more likely of a further continuation up, although this is slightly higher than the previous point. That's not something that's a strong indicator. There's other indicators, but it's something I wanted to be able to point out to you guys. If this does break above those zones, a further continuation up, we got to have it break $19,500. That's a really key level. Right now, we just got to get back to the 18K level, right? It's psychological elements here. 18K, 18.5, 19K, 19.5. If it breaks that, 20K is looking very good. Will we actually be able to break it, and we'll be able to hold it? I think if we break an all-time high, another pull back down should be more than likely. And I'm hoping that before the end of the year, we can hit 20K. And if it does any of that retracement back, we can recover from it pretty quickly. Further continuation down on this 21 EMA is going to be indicating a range right around $17,140. $17,140. If it breaks below $17,000, that is very clearly below the 21 EMA, but that might be just the wick. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to close out at that point. The last 3 days, we have wicks that went below the 21 EMA but closed above the 21 EMA. The last day, especially, you can see was just slightly up above. That 21 EMA is still continuously pushing up higher and higher. The RSI, what's actually interesting right here, is that it's in a balance zone. It's slightly overbought. It's not overbought, right? If it breaks above the 70, that little dotted line, like it's been all throughout here, then it'd be considered as overbought. But you can see that there's a long period of time where it's been overbought, and that was actually forming a standard. That was like a continuation norm. So having a bit of a sell-off right here has rebalanced this down. A further continuation up at this point would pull up the RSI a little bit, but it's not anything I'm too worried about. On the weekly chart, you guys can see right here the formation of the red zone, now being identified as a Sunday for the chart since we move over into the new time zone. Excuse me. So as of so far, absolutely crazy with the full weekly position here. Close out, you can see it pushed all the way up to the $19,500 range and the lowest point at $16,160. So absolutely incredible movement during the course of that weekly position. And on the monthly, you can see that we are still quite considerably high. There is a bit of a pullback taking place with this and that top part of the wick. Curious to see how the progressive movement moves on with this. So on the daily, we are currently on the red zone, just slightly though, but we're overall working our way back up towards trying to get back to that key level, that all-time high. Now looking over at Orchid. Orchid is tapping that 30-cent range. Been looking at this during the day, and as you guys can see, there's a point right here at 30 cents, just breaking above slightly on the 30 cents, just at the 30-cent level right here as well. And so 30 cents is being tested multiple times, needs to try and break above that level. Another psychological component, because you're in another 10-cent major range, right? 30 cents to 40, then 40 to 50, etc. Looking at it as is right now, it looks like there's a bit of form of a consolidation space going across the top. A little bit of caution, as this also seems to be forming what appears to be a double top pattern, and there might be a further correction to take place next with this. Hopefully not, but that testing of this top as a form of resistance, we want to make that into a form of support. But this double top looking pattern is of a cautionary tale for sure. Now looking at it on the daily position, as you guys can see right here, we have a little bit of retracement back. Yesterday was quite a big green candle. Historically, as we've seen, there tends to be a big green candle up and then a large red candle down for Orchid. It is sideways action, massive green candle up, and then red pulled all the way almost to the baseline of where it was before, essentially removing everything. So like a pump and dump type thing, yeah, this is unfortunately a large pump and dump type coin, and it can only last for so long to be so consistent like this until one side eventually decides to break and starts to form a stronger new position, right? So we're trying to get into that new position, trying to get above into the 30-cent range. If this goes back down to the 21 EMA, as we're still bullish right now, if it goes back down to the 21 EMA, it'd be down to 0.2650 approximately, 0.2650, a little bit more than 26 cents. And a further drop down, a key level I would be concerned about is going back to these kinds of previous levels and that level of the top resistance I had set up previously, which would be right around the 22.5-cent range. So personally, I'm still bullish, but there is bearish tendencies that are showing on the short time frame and on the daily as we look at previous patterns there. Now looking at Numeraire, wow. Holy cow, look at this thing, just massive, explosive growth. We're talking from 27.11 all the way up to 41.58. Holy cow, and that was the daily. Let's take a look at it on a 4-hourly chart. Last 4 hours, 4 hours, massive movements there. There's a little bit of point in time back on the 27th, so a day ago. You can see some large volume. It started to drop down, but then 2 consecutive 4-hour candles of just massive volume being taken over. On the 1-hourly, you can see also massive green candle. Let's go ahead and go even more macro in a 15-minute time span. Most of this movement pushing up within this time frame zone. However, it had a consecutive series of green candles except for this one red retracement back, which was trying to fill essentially all the way down. So like a quick pump and dump, which is what we typically see. But that fact that it pulled all the way back up to that point and then it had a further continuation up is good. But then we did get led over immediately afterwards with a red candle that essentially took that top and brought it right back down to the bottom, right? And then if you progress even further down, you can see this red zone has pushed down to the bottom right along the side of where that green zone is. So a lot of indications suggesting a pump and dump type situation, especially when you're not used to these big kind of moves. Guess what? On a daily, seeing something so explosive like that is something to err of caution. However, back on November 22nd, you also had a massive push up, pushing right around the same range, right around the 41.40, and then some sell off. So some big players coming in, trying to cause some momentum and movement to push forward even higher. Retracements taking back, some people taking profits. Keep in mind the red zones. We saw Bitcoin having a bit of a drop as well, right? So it's not surprising to see that other cryptocurrencies had dropped when Bitcoin made a massive drop as well. A lot of people start panicking and they just want to take profits and wait to see what happens next. So the actual technical charts right here, you can't see it, but it's suggesting a strong buy. Further pull back down if it was to go down. The 21 EMA, it is above right now. It closed above yesterday, which is great. It basically bounced off of the previous day and has been in the positive all the way back since November 21st. If it was to drop down though, 28.9 is a key level of support, and a key level for us to try and break is going to be approximately around the 41.31 level, right around in that region zone. So we have some potential room to grow. I almost said growth, or I think it, well, whatever. Anyways, we're almost at the end of the video, guys. And then August 27th, you had it go up to 68.18, right around in that zone, right? So if it can go 69, I'm sure we'll have a good time. I said it. I did it. I went there. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys are new, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up like button. We're trying to get, again, at least 50 likes. It takes a quarter of a second. It helps us out a lot. And the bell notification so you get alerted when there is a new video. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on everything we said today. Thank you guys, and I will see you in the next episode.